We have 4 knowledge-packed webinars for you on 14 December. Here's how you can check them out. The first one is on SIPs, do's and don'ts. So how can you make SIP a game changer in your wealth creation journey? This webinar will be available in Tamil and conducted by Akash and Samyuktha, and also in English conducted by Harshil. At 11 o'clock, we have a webinar from Sphere, I Thought PMS, which is going to be on how to navigate market volatility with multi-asset investing. And at 12 p.m., we have a webinar conducted by I Thought Plan, where they're going to be exploring how stepping up your SIP game can be a game changer for your wealth creation journey. You can register for any of these webinars using the link in the description below. Let us know what you'd like to learn next.
In this very special edition of Talking Straight with Mr. Shyam Sekhar, we are going to do a special edition on NRIs. This episode will kind of answer the different questions that NRIs and NRI investors have, and let's ask Sir his take on these questions. Hello Sir.
Hi Nakul.
From your perspective, how has the landscape changed for Indians who want to settle abroad in the last 10 to 15 years?
Firstly, more people are definitely going to work abroad. That number has increased. This comes from the number of people who go to study abroad. When the number of people who go to study abroad increases a lot, a higher percentage of them tend to work abroad. And when a higher percentage of people work abroad, they also look at opportunities to settle abroad. Now, there are opportunities for most of the people who are going to study abroad. So, the number of people who are going to study, work and settle abroad is only on the rise. This also has to do with the lack of opportunities for people who study abroad in India. So, they cannot really come back here to do something which will meaningfully utilize their education abroad. And then, even if there are some opportunities, the perception among the people who go and study abroad is that these opportunities are not enough. They perceive them to be few and far between. So naturally, the number of people who are now settling abroad is on the rise.
In continuation with that question, again from your observation, do you think this trend has peaked, or do you think it still is going to be on the rise for the next decade or so?
I don't think this trend has peaked. See, in India, there is a restriction on the launching of educational institutions. It's highly politician centric. When your education system is under the capture of politicians, they have both policy capture and presence capture. They control the policy and they control who can start an institution. So then the chance of having more institutions and supply of better capacity in better institutions is not increasing. And a lot of these institutions which have been started by politicians are seeing a very slow but steady decline in the quality and in the output and in the number of students who are enrolling. So all this will create a reverse spiral. So the chance of our creating a very good domestic ecosystem for education, which will replace the need to go abroad, is coming down with every passing year. As a result of this, I think that more people will gravitate towards going out. There is no choice. Unless you create it here, people are going to go out. And what you are creating here is not adequate because a lot of education is state subject, and in states, politicians have captured education.
Coming into a question where there are people, NRIs, who are planning to come back. If you are settled abroad in the US with future plans, let's say in the next 5 or 10 years, to come back to India, how can they design an investment portfolio that captures both opportunities?
See, firstly, I have noticed one thing. People who go abroad for a very long time, right? From the 70s, Indians have been going abroad, started with doctors, then engineers. Now people in all walks of life are going to work abroad. When they go abroad, they are not very decisively clear on their return. In the 70s and 80s, people used to think that they will not come back even when they go. 90s also was like that. It is only the last 10 or 15 years that this rethink has started. Now that this rethink has started, even those who have already gone abroad are considering the option of staying in India for a reasonable period of time in a year, in their later years. Whenever you are coming to that frame of mind where you are willing to consider residing in India for at least a part of the year, then you should start thinking of investing in India. Suppose you are not going to come at all, then it is a different story, because your children will be born in that country, they may study only in that country, and the money you are going to create here may not be of much interest to them. So all your investments will be fashioned towards your future needs and the future needs of your children. But if you are going to come back, even if your children are going to stay back, then you need to start thinking about investing in India. Many people always worry about exchange rate and use that as a reason not to invest in India. But look at the depreciation rate annually in the exchange rate, deduct it from the returns you make from the benchmark index itself. You will still see merit in investing in India. Nobody does this math. If you do that math, then you will understand that you can invest in India despite the depreciation and still make decent returns. So it's a kind of a hedge. When global hedge funds and very, very large sovereigns are investing in India, why not the people of Indian origin? I mean, it really beats me that Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, right? The government of Singapore's investment funds, right? Qatar, Saudi, and the huge number of endowments of universities in US are all investing in India. But the Indians who are working in these countries or studying in these universities and alma mater of these universities have viewed investing in India with some kind of skepticism, which is inexplicable. So, I think that even from a diversification point of view, if you have hopes of coming back or you want to keep that option of coming back, it makes sense. But people are not looking at it that way, because they are looking at a broad picture of devaluation of the exchange rate, which is the rupee, without actually computing how much it is annually. So nobody knows the annual rate, depreciation of the rupee. You deduct it from the returns, it is still a better investment. That's how you have to evaluate. That evaluation is not happening objectively. And because it is not objective, people are forming decisions of whether to invest or not invest in India based on their own perception.
This is something that I got from a client. What would be a broad outlook for someone, let's say they have made the decision to come back to India for the next 10 years? From a career standpoint, from an investing standpoint, how do you think the next 10 years is going to be for them?
If you look at the number of industries that are growing faster in India than their historic growth rate, that is quite an impressive number, and the list is very long. India was not producing mobile phones until 5 years ago, and today it is probably second to China in certain products, certain brands, and slowly it is spreading. We are going to produce products across categories which we were importing until a few years ago. Lot of growth in new industries are technology driven industries which did not have much scope in India. So all these things means that the options to work in India are only going to increase. And when these options increase, there are going to be more takers for these options who are willing to look at it in India. Until now, these options didn't exist. So when these options are made known to a lot of people, then some of them may pick these options. I'm not saying everybody will come back to India, but a few people will. As more people come back, seeing them, those who feel comfortable about their experience will want the same experience for themselves. When you see others experience a good thing, you want it for yourself. That trend may again be a secondary trend that will start. So over the 10 years, I feel that more people will come back. But more importantly, I believe that those who go out after working in India, that number will not increase, it may decrease. Suppose you work 5 years, 10 years in India, then for the sake of income, a lot of people went out of India. Like somebody who is in finance and accounts went to work in the Middle East because they pay definitely a more attractive salary. That trend will come down because the arbitrage, the gap between what you can earn here and what they pay will keep shrinking. Because the quality of life and the compromises that you make will make that arbitrage unattractive. The gap or the differential salary which you can earn by going and working in the Middle East in certain jobs will come down. And that will be across categories. I just gave one example, but it will happen across categories. And when it happens across categories, you will see that the people going out itself will come down, especially the career shift moves will reduce. But those who go to study, that's a different story. But those who go in the middle of their careers, that number will come down. It's already coming down.
For NRIs who have maybe not made the decision, who are indecisive, who are in the dilemma of staying abroad or returning back to India, what do you think, in your opinion, are some of the factors that they should be considering? Either staying there or maybe moving back.
See, I think the decision to stay or come back depends on many factors. One is that arbitrage I told you. How much can you earn there in excess of what you can earn in India? That is one question. To earn that extra amount, what are the kind of sacrifices you are going to make? These are the two critical decision variables. If you give up that extra amount, would you have a better quality of life in India? Would you be happy with that earning and quality of life? Like there are people who live away from their families and work in another country. Just think of the psychological impact of such loneliness. They will not be available for their children in their growing years. They will not be able to take care of their parents in their later years. Okay? And look at marital relationships itself. How much can you do to be close or to stay close in such a long distance relationship? So those costs will have to be weighed by the individual. And most people will gradually want to, come back here if they are getting a reasonably good opportunity here. If the arbitrage, that is the differential income, is not very high, then people say, I don't want to be there. But it has to come to that point. At the moment, I still feel that we are behind the curve in that. But you can have a catch up.
Coming to that question, I think you kind of answered it. How can NRIs effectively manage caring for their aging parents while they continue to struggle with the decision?
I think the first thing they should do is to get the parents' insurance. Because you don't know when what can happen. So if you are insured, at least you will make sure that their health care needs are met without any stumbling block. Second, you should do it as soon as you go out to work, not after they become old. Suppose you are going to work when you are age of 25 or 30. The parents will be 55, 60. Start then only. Earlier the better to start the policy in their name. You contribute to that policy regularly and pay it. And make sure that policy is for adequate value, some 25 lakhs or something like that. Don't take 5 lakhs policy. Because in 2 days the money will be exhausted in a good hospital. Okay? Keep some provision. Cover all the critical illnesses. Because that is what people get when they are 70, 80. Today you are seeing cancer in so many people after they cross 75, 80. And these are not people with any vices. We confuse disease with vice. It's not so. So, maybe the way of life or whatever reason, it comes at a later stage. So, provide enough money for that treatment right from the word go. You may not need it for 10 years, but when you need it, it should be available to you. Right? So, insure early. Then you create an emergency corpus in excess of that, which you set aside. I don't think this needs to be more than 10 lakhs. Maintain that emergency in the lifetime of the parent. And after the lifetime of the parent, you convert it as your own emergency. Simple. What people do is, they don't provide for the parents, particularly for health. and they think that they are earning a lot, so they can manage it when it comes. My good friend, he was earning very well in the Middle East. As luck would have it, both his parents fell ill when he was in the Middle East. One parent had cancer, which eventually led to a demise. The other parent had some heart-related ailment, which also led to his demise. He spent a significant part of his savings, which he earned in the Middle East, on these treatments, because they were not covered. He had never anticipated that one person would get cancer and the other person would get a heart problem. It was a live case. So one day when we were discussing what happened to all your savings, he said, this much got spent. And I could not, though I know my parent is dying, I still had to do everything I needed to do for my own satisfaction. Right? If there was insurance, this money would have gone to his savings, please understand. He basically gave away all his savings because he didn't have insurance. So anyone who goes abroad, I think, should cover the parents' health through insurance, health insurance, and cover it adequately so that you don't have to put in money. Keep another 10 lakhs as a emergency reserve. You should only keep it in your finances. You don't have to even give it to them, but keep it separately. You don't have to let anybody know. You just keep it. Because if you say you have 10 lakhs, your parents may come and say, why don't you give this money for this cause, I need it for this or that. They will try to reallocate the capital. Don't give them that information. Just keep it separately, quietly. And as I told you, after their lifetime, repurpose it. So if you do these two things, then you are good. Most people fail to insure and second fail to build emergency. So as they earn, they are giving money to the parents, they are spending, parents are going and buying jewelry, a lot of good things are happening, they are putting it in building in the village or town or city, right? They are spending on functions like 60th birthday, 70th birthday, 80th birthday. Lot of social expenditure is going on because they want to show the happiness of the family to society. But families also need to provide for the crisis that can come in a family and prepare very well for that. If it doesn't come, continue to enjoy. But when it comes, no, it should not bog you down. It should not pull you down. My friend's case, it pulled him down. I feel that most people should be very careful.
Topic of very hot contention, real estate and NRIs. Is it better to hold real estate as an NRI or sell it off completely if you made the decision to moving abroad for at least a specific span of time?
See, people actually go abroad, come back and buy land. You don't realize that. So I used to go between 2011, 12 till about 17 or 18 to Middle East. I used to meet clients and all that. I used to find everybody was over-invested in real estate. One of my clients even gave money to a company that was doing real estate business under some financing scheme. It was like a MLM only. I told him it's like an MLM, don't give. But he said, no, I want to try this, and he gave 60, 70 lakhs. At that time, this company, which had some land parcels everywhere around Bangalore, Tamil Nadu and all that, used to go and collect money in Middle East. They must have collected 400-500 crores easily. Easily. The company went under, went bankrupt, all these people have lost their money. So the urge to invest in real estate is very, very high among NRIs. And if you see the number of real estate companies which go to their doorstep and try to sell to them is exceptionally high. And they will always sell cheap to one or two people who become the salesman to the other people. And all the gains in real estate is notional for all these people. 90% of people invest based on notional gains. No one has sold the property and made the profit. He'll say, I bought it for 2 lakhs, it is worth 10 lakhs. Or I bought it for 20 lakhs, it is worth 50 lakhs. It's all notional mathematics, no real booking. So it's a investment which happens mostly on FOMO, fear of missing out. And most of the people think that since they don't have other avenues and they don't have other things, real estate is safe. Then there are these issues of title, access, lots of problems in properties. I know a lot of people who are bought in Karnataka who are having problem in this area. Not that it's not there in Tamil Nadu. Then many people who go abroad to work misallocate money in their hometowns because first they buy in the hometown. Then their wife and children happen. They get married and have children. Then they want them to locate to a city. Then they invest in the city for the wife and children. Like this 10-15 years goes away. Then when you evaluate, the hometown investment does not seem like a good one. Then after 20 years, it looks like they will never go to the hometown. They'll ask, where am I going to go back? I just bought it then because of my affinity. Then when they go to sell, what they thought is the value will not happen. Then somebody will give them cash, which they cannot carry in a gunny bag to their country where they live in. So then that cash gets misspent. Then they find avenues to invest that cash, which are mostly wrong. So these are all the things which I have seen in real estate happening. And I think that the efficiency, nobody knows. Nobody knows the actual returns. Nobody does a calculation of XIRR in real estate. How much did I invest in real estate during my career? What is my career XIRR in real estate? Nobody knows. They will only give you absolute number. I put this much, it has become this much. They will not calculate it became that much in 25 years and the return is 6%. Nobody does that, or 8%. So, most people in real estate don't do maths and their investments run on emotion and they layer more and more investments on different emotions. Hometown is parental emotion. City property is marital emotion. Then they buy villa and all the plot also, which is their parental emotion for their children. So multiple emotions people keep putting in this process. So they have created a bouquet of properties, most of which they will not use. Okay, and most of which carry the risk of poor realization, title defects, and liquidity, and creation of black money both to buy and when they sell. So it's a suboptimal investment, but people do it because they think they understand it very well, or they understand other things not that well as they understand real estate. So this is how I think people are doing property.
We still have a lot more questions to ask Mr. Shyam Sekhar. Join us for part 2, where we'll be diving into a lot on investment approaches and his take on these.